bit wet, but it's an exciting day. I think we've got a bit of an exciting update.
Yeah, we have. Hopefully you find it exciting too.
The team brought us up to date with the latest changes inside and outside of the hardtop, and they've let us share them with you. G'day, we're David and Paula. After 40 years, we took a gap year from work, bought a van and did a lap right around Australia, and it was life-changing. So now we're trying to rebalance life, work, the van travel in Australia that we love, and still ticking off some overseas bucket list items. We haven't got you the inside of a hardtop, of course, because they're still making it. What we can do is give you just insights as to where they've landed and resolved on a couple of critical issues. So this is just an internal long kitchen bench, isn't it?
It's a kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's got the cupboards, and the cupboards go through to the outside. These cupboards will follow through, but at this level. We're going to put some upholstery on it, so
because we don't mind the idea of having that upholstered space next to the bed, lowering, we certainly don't, right? Lowering that down, that will make that feel a little bit more spacious in there.
And it means you can get a nice size window.
Yeah, and that's just one of the big bonuses, is that in the initial renders you will have seen that there were some smaller windows across to the top.
Yep.
They're getting bigger window on that side, and certainly there'll be a big full-size window on that side. So the initial impressions that some people had that there might not have been much window space, there's going to be a fair bit of window space in a van of this size.
Yep.
But some people have been saying that they wanted like a window at the front there. They're actually reshaped. The storage area is on the front.
Yep. So they're going to have some cabinetry up the top, which are going to be some pigeonholes for us to use for people to use as storage.
Yeah.
Which is really good. And then we get another big window, and there's going to be some cabinetry across the top. So
somewhere over here, there'll be 3 extra overhead cabinets.
An option to have either a bench seat or this configuration.
We love the idea of the bench seat.
We do.
Okay, because we think that that's going to open up the room. And some of the feedback we got down in Melbourne was that people did like the idea of the bench. There are still some people who actually like the idea of the cafeteria seating. Zone are going to leave both as options for this new van configuration. Personally, we will go bench seat.
So it's a separate toilet and bath.
We're toying with the idea of moving the washing machine, weren't they?
They were, but they've now not.
Yeah.
So it's going to, which I'm quite happy with being here.
Yeah. Other than taking up some of that tremendous front storage space and taking the washing machine outside, for all sorts of reasons, they've actually decided to leave the washing machine there.
When we did our lap, I did lots of small loads in all sorts of weather. We had a lot of wet weather when we did our lap and during the night time. So personally, I prefer the washing machine where it's going to be located in the bathroom.
Look, it is a little bit snug. The Ogo toilet is smaller than our current Nature's Head, so that helps. They're actually going to put
a cabinet here and a full-length mirror here.
Yeah.
And a bigger window here.
Yeah.
So we've got lots of ventilation.
In a 17.5-foot caravan here, and they've retained the separate shower and toilet. And our experience, put it in the comments by all means, but your thoughts. But our experience with our little washing machine in our base, we didn't want to be going out into the weather if we were just putting on some small loads and all those sorts of. We think that's a pretty good outcome. And keep in mind that the guys didn't want to use up that tremendous storage space at the front because the washing machine wouldn't have fitted in as neatly there.
No.
Now what else are they doing here? In the hardtop there'll be a extra the fan.
Yes, the fan.
Over the shower here.
The door's going to be a solid door into the shower.
It'll be a proper ensuite shower. Okay.
This is going to be a concertina door, unless they come up with something else.
Yeah. So they're looking to see whether they could make that a solid door. Like, it's not a huge space in there. Is at the moment that'll just be a concertina, a privacy concertina in there. Solid door on the shower, of course. So that'll provide you the privacy.
Yes.
But at the moment they haven't found a better way
And that's fine. I'm quite happy with that.
No, they'll go for Dometic fridges front and back now. So at the moment there's two different models of fridge. I think there's a Bushman and another brand, and they'll rationalise that.
Making sure that they work really hard to guarantee the dust prevention.
Oh yeah, good
That's
point.
a really big thing for Zone.
Yeah.
They've always stood by their dust prevention.
For the pop top, there's been a lot of discussion about the door, and we'll take some footage outside. They're going to put a new door on the pop top, and that'll have a screen in it.
Yes,
built in, and of course there will be a full size door for the hard top, and again that will have a screen in it. They're just settling the final model of that door that they're going to put in. The shape of the van, it does do some odd things in the shape, which are great overall, only achievable because of the way they can do the 3D printing and the mould stuff, and we'll talk about that separately. But the one thing they did not want to compromise is their reputation for keeping the dust out. They're just sort of mindful that as they're changing doors and all those sorts of things, they don't want to compromise where the dust gets in or out. So they're looking at the full range of options.
Yes.
But the one thing they've absolutely guaranteed is there won't be dust coming into their into their vans. That that's a solid door, and in the new pop top, that'll be a door with a screen in it.
Oh, sorry, there's a microwave going in here, so it's part of the kitchen.
Yep, so they'll use that storage space.
Yeah.
Just about resolved everything. They're working flat out. They're just looking at a range of options for the solar on the top, to basically make sure that they've got the latest and the best efficiency and the lowest weight. So we can't share what they're looking at yet because they're still deciding on what the final couple of options are. There's been a lot of positive feedback about Zone moving to the new method wheels. Yeah, so we've always really liked this storage. We were a little bit concerned when we were hearing some of the options for various things that they might be talking about putting in there. They'd probably like to have a split system in the air conditioning and take the current air conditioner off the roof. There was some talk about putting the washing machine down here. They didn't want to end up with compromises that weren't ideal for, say, the washing machine and weren't ideal for the storage. So that's why the washing machine stays where it is. That's why this storage gets kept exactly the way it is.
Has it?
All right. But it's just amazing how far they've come.
Oh yeah, it is amazing.
So what do you think?
I'm really happy with how it's looking so far.
It was a really good progress report, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's very good, and Nick was very good, gracious of him to spend time with us too.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we suggested have been taken on board.
We've made some suggestions, which was our experience of travelling in the base and why we'd like to come to the expedition, the hardtop expedition.
Yeah.
They've also incorporated lots of feedback that they've had from current expedition owners, which is great, and as you'd expect. So I think we've said it time and time again, there's always compromises in caravan design and those sorts of things. There's something that has to give. This is a lot packed into a 17.5 foot van.
Yes.
Okay, and a narrow track van. So I think at the moment, from our perspective, it's got all of the amenity and the sort of the little luxe things that we like.
Yes.
The emphasis on the outdoor living, maybe a little bit extra storage.
Yeah.
In fairness, it's
just a different spot.
But they've been able to use the space better.
Yes.
We'll show you where they're at with the actual building of the van in a second. So we're going to head across and go over and see where they actually mould these beasts. Well, Paula for scale. Okay. Yeah.
Isn't this exciting?
It's very exciting. It's really cool. This is about the height that it will be when it's in its lowered configuration. But the guys are indicating that the pop top will be 100, 150, but just a bit higher. Really clever stuff. The 3D printer creates the first run. That's milled off. Then they create these plugs, and then the mould gets made off this. This gives you a bit of a feel for what this looks like. And just a reminder, this is the plug that the moulds get made around, and then the moulds form the two parts of the clamshell that actually make the final vans. Yeah, look, seriously cool and seriously innovative.
Yes.
The guys here were just telling us that if you had to go conventional manufacturing, overseas in China, this would take months to get done, and the guys have done this in the course of a bit over a week. So we're going to keep this a quick and punchy update. We've packed a fair bit in. It was a great visit. And of course Zone are doing some updates, as you would expect, as we're speaking as well. We think we've been able to get a little bit more extra information. We had to hold this up till we got some up-to-date pictures, as you'd expect. That means that we've also got the opportunity just to address a couple of the recurring questions and comments, just in case that helps with your understanding. The first thing, just to remind everybody, this is a hybrid van. It's not a full-size van like the others in the Zone suite. It's a narrower track, it's a narrower body, it's 17.5 foot. Space will always be at a premium, and I quite often talk about the compromises. It's not even compromises, it's actually about getting the best fit for all of this utility that's crammed in. So that will be reflected in some of the design choices.
It is a smaller van, so it is compact, but it's still quite roomy and light. The bigger windows are going to help heaps with that, and it's very luxurious for a hybrid van.
And one of the reasons that we went with it is because it's more compact. Right? It is because it's got that smaller footprint. So we accept that you're not going to have as much space inside. It is very orientated to that outside living. We love that outside kitchen, and particularly with the hatches come over the top, which is that versatility that if you're set up for a few days, you can throw the awning out and tie all that down. If you're just stopping roadside or doing an overnighter, then you can pop the hatches up to provide the protection over the kitchen. The various comments that I think just reflect a reminder in the manufacturing process here. I mean, it's a composite van, but it's a composite van that's using that moulding process that only they can do because of that massive 3D printer that they've got. And that actually means that it's very strong, right? So yeah, they're able to actually do some unusual shapes. That means that they've got to be careful about some of the design selection. And one of the examples in this van is the doors. So they will actually use a third-party door for both the pop top and the hard top. As they're bedding this in, of course they don't want dust to get in and through the seals, and they'll continue to do that as they've always done, which is that priority and not even letting the dust in. In this van, they'll certainly put the DRS in, certainly in the hard top, just to absolutely make sure, because they don't want to compromise on the dust. This is a genuine hybrid on a dual axle chassis to get the maximum strength, stability, and the compactness into that 17.5 foot. And remember, because it's a hybrid van with that fantastic kitchen built in, so it's not a pull out, it's not that extra weight from a pull out, that actually means that it fits within the body, and that's why you've got some of that cabinetry on the inside. But I think that they've done a great job in reducing the height beside the bed. Some people have asked a question about the inside kitchen. The inside kitchen is a utility bench, and it's a portable induction hot plate on the inside. The full kitchen with all of the plumbing and the sink and everything is outside. Don't forget, you've still got water inside because you've got the ensuite basin. But again, that's, I wouldn't even say compromises. You just got to be awfully careful that you don't try to fit so much in and you end up with something which is not a hybrid and it's not a full-size van. One of the common questions you get is the bed configuration. So some people want to be able to move around the outside of beds and those sorts of things, or they have a view about how easy it is to get in and out. Again, it's a hybrid van, only just over 2 meters wide, almost the same width as our Defender. There are various hybrids that are almost the size of a full van. So yes, the bed doesn't have room either side.
While we were looking at a number of hybrids, I actually tested all of the beds, sat on them, moved my way up to the end, made sure I could maneuver myself to do it. Making of the bed is certainly going to be different to what we're used to, and I've also been thinking about that and how I can make it easy. I'll be able to share all of that with you when we actually get into one.
The final look of the detachable table for the bench top is still just being resolved, but that's the direction that they're going, and we think that's great. We absolutely love the fact that if you're not using a table, you can actually clear that extra bit of space and room. One of the questions we had was about the solar panels. The very latest we've got is that they will be flexible panels, but they'll be new type, the best technology, and that'll actually give them the extra weight advantage. They'll be lighter, so we'll wait and see where they land. They've got two options, and they're just deciding which of the two options that they go with. A few of you asked questions about the pop top. There's a lot of commonality, you know, from the pop top down. It's essentially the same van, of course. We've tried to include updates where we can. If there's anything we've missed, sorry. You know, it is mostly about the hard top. The key learning in all this is it's actually great that there's going to be the two variants, because people see some strong advantages in the pop top, and so people see some strong advantages in the hard top. Zone is now catering to both of those uses. It's been a positive response. Thanks for all the questions, comments. Keep those coming. We'll keep you updated. It's not a full reveal. There's lots and lots more tech specs and things that we can talk to. We'll be covering a lot more detail when we actually manage to get our hands on and get a look inside a real van. So what did you think of all that?
Really exciting.
It's come a long way, hasn't it?
Yes.
And in some respects, some things have come just a little bit full circle as well. They just had to go through the process of having a look at a couple of options on a couple of those things. We're looking forward to the next step. We can't tell you when you're actually going to see the van, but they're hammering away, and it shouldn't be too long before we see it somewhere. So they've got a date in mind, but they won't let us tell anybody just yet. After that, we'll be having a discussion about when we can take it for a bit of a spin.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we'll head home. Keep you posted.
Yeah, definitely. See you later.
Bye. Again, thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, 100% of our YouTube advertising revenue goes to charity.